What if, and just imagine this for a second, what if we could actually understand what animals are saying, like really get inside their heads? It's a question that's fascinated us for, well, probably forever. And now with AI, it feels like we might be getting closer than ever.
We're diving into all of this because you shared this incredible Bloomberg Originals video, and it got us thinking, could AI be the key to finally cracking the code of animal communication? I mean, we've all seen those videos, right? Dogs with their talking buttons, tapping out requests for treats or what.
Oh, absolutely. I saw that one with Cash, the dog who's got, what is it, like 130 buttons?
Yeah, over 130. Can you believe that? He even seems to tell his owners when he's feeling sick, which, I don't know, it just makes you wonder.
It really does. Is he really understanding language at that point, or is it just incredibly sophisticated begging? It's a fascinating debate.
Isn't it? And that's where this whole AI thing gets even more interesting, especially this type of AI called transformers.
Transformers, like the robots. Kind of, but not really. Think more like the technology behind ChatGPT. They can process tons of data, like language, and figure out how words relate to each other in ways we might never see.
Okay, so how does that apply to, say, understanding a dog's bark or a cat's meow?
Well, imagine feeding a transformer thousands, maybe even millions, of examples of those sounds. Eventually, it could start to pick up on subtle patterns, like the difference between a bark that means I'm hungry and one that means stranger danger.
So it's not just translating word for word. It's more like it's finding these hidden connections, these patterns within the sounds themselves.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to our furry friends either. This tech is being used to try to decode whale songs, which, let's be honest, sound pretty alien to us.
Right, like listening to a bunch of dial-up modems having a conversation.
Exactly. But there are researchers out there, like the folks at the Earth Species Project, who are convinced that there's meaning hidden in those whale songs.
It's a huge challenge, though, right? I mean, imagine trying to have a conversation at a crowded party. It's tough to focus on just one voice with so much background noise.
It's like that, but magnified 1,000 times over when you're dealing with the ocean. All those waves, other animals, boats, it's a lot to filter out.
And that's what these researchers call the cocktail party problem, right? Isolating individual voices in a soundscape. It's a tough one to solve, for sure. But AI, it turns out, might be surprisingly good at it. Sifting through all that noise and picking out those individual voices. It's like giving researchers a whole new way to listen to the ocean.
It's almost like giving them superpowers, right, to eavesdrop on these conversations that we'd never even know were happening otherwise.
Exactly. And from what they're finding, it seems like whale communication could be way more complex than we thought. There's even some speculation that, they might use vocal signatures. Like, think of it as names almost.
Wow, like each whale has its own unique call. That's incredible. But then that brings up a whole other question. If we're getting closer to actually being able to understand these animals, should we even be trying, ethically speaking?
Right, that's the big one, isn't it? Just because we can do something doesn't automatically mean we should. Especially when it comes to wild animals, we really have to be careful about unintended consequences.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like walking up to someone and saying, hello, there's a whole ecosystem at play. We have to think about how our attempts at communication might affect them,
Definitely. And a great example of that is actually in the Bloomberg video you shared, Dr. Lucy King's work on human-elephant conflict.
Oh, yeah. The one with the bees, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So she was looking at this idea that elephants really don't like bees. And it makes sense if you think about it. Getting stung on the trunk can't be fun.
No kidding. And they have that rumbling sound they make, right? To warn each other about bees being around.
Exactly. It's like a built-in alarm system. And get this, when researchers played recordings of that bee rumble back to elephants.
What, they actually reacted to it?
Oh yeah, big time. They started acting like bees were actually there, even though it was just the recording, shaking their heads, flapping their ears, even kicking up dust.
So they definitely got the message. It's incredible how those little sounds can carry so much meaning. It really makes you think, what if instead of trying to teach animals our language, we focused on becoming better listeners to theirs?
It's a humbling thought, right? To realize that these animals have been communicating effectively for millennia, using languages we're only just beginning to grasp.
It really is. This whole deep dive, thanks to that Bloomberg video you sent, it's been eye-opening. I mean, who knows what else is out there just waiting to be discovered if we can refine these AI tools and use them ethically, of course.
Absolutely. We have to be careful, thoughtful. It's not just about what we can do, but what we should do. The well-being of these animals has to come first.
100%. This isn't about controlling the conversation. It's about understanding it, appreciating it.
Right, and maybe even learning from it. Imagine what insights we might gain, about animal intelligence, about ecosystems, maybe even about ourselves, if we could really tap into these different ways of experiencing the world.
That's such a cool thought. And I think it's a perfect place to leave things for our listeners today. What if the key to understanding other species isn't about making them understand us, but about opening our minds and our ears to the incredible symphony of communication already happening all around us? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.